Happy New Year. Welcome, everyone. I'm Kimberly Boschman, and this is the Intentionally Intuitive podcast. In this episode, we're going to take a look at the forecast for each life path number for 2025. Now, I will be doing a quick take for the year ahead for 2025, what it entails as far as the global cycle, the universal cycle that we'll be working with. I'll be putting that out as it gets closer to, as we get closer to 2025. So have a listen to that if you're interested to know more about, again, the overall energy of 2025 and how to best work with it, more on a mundane level. This video is, again, focused on what you can expect for your personal life path number. Now, please note, your personal year, which is derived from your own personal numerology, can be very different, and it takes priority over this reading for your life path. The personal year will be most dominant. And then, of course, this energy you'll be feeling, but it won't be as dominant as the personal year. So if you're interested in finding out what your personal year is, what that forecast entails, and for a specialized reading dedicated to your own personal numerology, then I suggest having, obviously, a reading. And my information is in the description box below. If you would like to work with me, I would love to take a look. And of course, this is a general forecast, so keep that in mind as well. All right, let's go ahead and take a look to see what we've got cooking in 2025. Life Path 22-4. We're going to be working with the vibration of the 31-4 for 2025. And so ultimately, our own life path energy of the 4, but then also the influencing energy of the 31. And so usually what happens is when we move through a cycle that's our own, right? So in this case, 4 energy, it usually feels pretty good. Like we usually see of course there's going to be challenges and things that we need to go through to help us to recognize where it is that we still have some work to do and that, where we need to kind of move into greater alignment with this vibration. But it usually feels good. Like it feels aligned. It feels like we're working with an energy that we feel aligned with, you know what I mean? So 2025 has the potential to be one where we could see a lot of rewards. We could see a lot of feeling like we're coming into our own, feeling like we're really stepping into something that feels good for us, right? Like that we've reached the destination in some area of life. So it can be really powerful in that sense. Also, just remember that this is a longer cycle, right? It's a year long. So we're not going to see everything transpire January 1st. It's going to be a storyline that continues to unfold throughout the year. So kind of move with the energy, right? See what it's trying to show you as you continue to progress through the year. And by the end of 2025, you'll be able to look back and say, wow, I can't believe I built that. I can't believe I was a part of that. I can't believe that, et cetera, et cetera. I can't believe that happened. And, look where I am now. Remembering that the 4 energy, which again is our energy, is foundational, right? This is about building something sturdy, something sustainable, something long, withstanding. This is about gaining wisdom and then using that wisdom in some way. So lots of opportunities for that this year for us in many ways. This is definitely a year because of that 31 energy. It brings in this influence of needing to learn how to, or continue to learn how to adjust to others, while also fully expressing ourselves when it comes to what we need, within that exchange, as well as, what works for all involved. So there's, finding that common ground and then building from that space. So there is the possibility for collaborations this year, for, connecting with people or having experiences with people who, it might take a little bit of work to be able to collaborate with them. Sometimes the true test of whether we can truly be a team player is when there are people on the team who are difficult to work with. And so it's finding ways to work with them that can get the greatest results. And part of that is going to be making some adjustments and learning how to move with another person's energy, not in a way to where we're sacrificing ourselves or our needs, but in a way where we're coming to that common ground so that we're finding ways to be able to better work together. And so this could be a year of that playing out. And like I said, we might be put in the path of working with people who, we got to come up against their egos. They've got to come up against our egos. There's, they're going to have different ways of doing things. And we're going to have to loosen our grip a little bit to understand that, our way isn't always the best way. We should have input. We should be able to be a part of that process. But we also have to make sure that we're including the other person and their ideas and their life experiences and their wisdom in coming to that, reaching that goal together. So a lot of that could come into play this year. And it doesn't have to be about work or creative pursuits. It can absolutely be about those deeper relationships. This could be a really pivotal year in your personal or in our personal relationships as well, and those connections that we make and how we truly connect with one another and, work with each other. So if we want deeper connections, we have to understand the role that we play within those connections. And this year could really bring that to the forefront for that deeper understanding. If someone expresses their needs and we take it personal and we, overreact, then we're not going to have a great connection with that person. You know what I mean? So there's going to be this period or periods throughout the year where we're likely going to have those opportunities to make those compromises, to recognize or to see more clearly, how we contribute to those connections and, what can we modify or adjust to make sure that we're all getting the most out of those connections. So powerful energy in that sense. The other thing I would say about this is, this is going to be a time to express ourselves, to fully express ourselves, to put ourselves out there, to make sure that, again, we're not trying to take over an experience, but we're a part of that experience in expressing ourselves, expressing our needs, being honest about, what we want, what we need, what we desire, etc. So there's this part of really coming into our own this year where, again, we recognize our contribution. We recognize our strengths, what we have to bring to the table. And this can be a year to help us to express that in a way that, again, we're also honoring other people's expressions and their contributions, but it becomes like this beautiful marriage, right? Where we're also a part of that experience. So this can be a year where you fully step out, like really stand up for, your ideas, your whatever it is that you want to contribute, your gifts, etc. And feeling like you're getting making some headway there, right? Getting some momentum in fully expressing yourself and your creativity and, that you have the solution. So finding ways to work smarter, not harder to get to that solution, to get to that goal. That's one of the beautiful things about the 4, and of course the 22-4, is the ability to be so solution focused, to see the solution, and then to work towards getting to that solution, right? That resource, that greater resource for not only self, but all involved. 100% an excellent year for collaborations. I think that will be a highlight this year is the collaborative aspect. But just remember that it's not always about only choosing to work with people that you want to work with, right? It's about figuring out and adapting to working with all different kinds of personalities, all kinds of different egos, all kinds of different life experiences, and, finding that common ground. When we can do that, that's where we see the best results. That's where we see the greatest bang for our buck, so to speak. So definitely collaborations are at the forefront, and not being so rigid that, just because you don't like someone's values or you don't like the way that they do something or the whatever, that you're dismissing them. We don't want to dismiss too quickly this year. We want to make sure that we're, not sacrificing self, but also finding ways to work with others, even the most difficult people to work with, because that's where we're going to see the greatest results. And finding that common thread to get to that common goal. And the other thing to keep in mind is to pay attention to how everyone is able to benefit, not just ourselves. Because the 31 can bring in obstacles, right? And we can kind of see those obstacles as personal challenges to overcome in order to get to the goal, whatever it may be. And the one thing about the 4 is that it can be very independent, hyper independent, and it doesn't ask for help when it needs to. And again, when it comes to collaborating, it only wants to collaborate with people who are on the same page. Even if the gem that they need is sitting with the person who they don't want to collaborate with. You know what I mean? So the 31 brings in those greater tests, those challenges that we have to find a way to overcome. And the goal is to get to that resource, that solution that benefits not only self, but others as well. And then again, the only way to make sure that it's benefiting others as well is to have the conversation with others, to make sure that we're collaborating with others, to make sure that we're, again, all working towards the same goal. So a lot of that coming in this year to be looked at. That will push against that hyper-independency, that will push against that need for control. So it's about, figuring out ways and compromising so that all involved are happy with the outcome, which can be a challenge at times. Definitely a great deal can be accomplished this year if we don't allow frustration to take over, which is, again, such a big signature of the 4 energy. The 22-4 energy is that frustration, right? There's a lot of frustration on this journey. And a lot of times it comes from how slow moving things can be. But, frustration is just an indicator that there's a better way. And sometimes that better way is surrender, is, letting the universe take over what it is that you cannot force, and putting your energy in the flow, putting your energy towards what is working, what you do have control over. That can alleviate that frustration. So this year, we're being asked to replace that frustration with patience. And, when we can do that, when we can surrender what we can't control, then we start to see things moving in the areas that we do have control, in the areas where we do have, we can put in that effort and make things move, even if it's slowly. This is definitely not a year for getting stuck in know-it-all ways. We do not know it all. We might think we do, and we might know the best route to get there, but sometimes we can be surprised by how little we do know. Right? We might have the solution, but we might not know the best way to get there. And through the collaboration, through working with others, through gaining different perspectives, we can absolutely, through that collaboration, through the conversations, through asking questions, we can work smarter, not harder. That mentality of, I know it all, my way or the highway type of thing, only will create, that conflict, that isolation, that loneliness that we don't want, right? So don't be too quick to jump to conclusions, to make assumptions, have the conversation needed instead of closing that door too quickly, or just jumping to conclusions, or making assumptions about a situation or somebody's motives or whatever the case may be. Have the conversation, be open to a better way. And that's really what this 31 is trying to say. Positive actions and collabs can lead to beautiful new opportunities, beautiful new, collaborations, and changes for the better when it comes to business and financial affairs. So this can absolutely be a lucrative year for us for career, for philanthropy, for financial affairs, as long as cooperation, practicality, and honesty are at the forefront. So don't allow pride and ego to sort of ruin the beauty this energy can bring in this year. Success, big rewards can be had by joining forces with others in a very honest way, with mutual effort, mutual respect, compromise, to bring about tangible results in whatever area of life this shows up for us. But that collaboration is going to be key. And, it sounds so easy and so, let's just collaborate, man. But, that's one of the harder things for 4 energy and 22 4s to do, because of that hyper independency, that, seeing the solution and knowing that we can get there and thinking we have the better way. So we bypass the conversation, we bypass, other people's perspectives, we bypass asking the questions. And I think this year is going to remind us that we can build it, we can get to that solution, but it's just not going to give us the same results, and it's not going to be as fulfilling. It's interesting because our animal wisdom energy this year is bee energy. And this is beautiful because, bees are, the core of life in so many ways. They're the pollinators. They bring life to this planet. Without them, not a lot would happen. And, 4 energy is a lot like bee energy. 4 energy are the builders, and 22 fours are the builders. 22s are the master builders. So we are meant to build something sustainable, life-giving, something that's a legacy, something that is infused with wisdom that can actually bring about greater change in this world. But we can't do that alone. If you think about bees, they're not a solo entity. They're not their own boss. They work with other bees and they work with nature. It's a collaborative effort, right? There's synergy there. And so this year for us is about that synergy and finding ways to work with, others, even when it's difficult, even when it's challenging. Sometimes we have to work for that pollen, right? And so I think bee is just that reminder that, keep going and make sure that we're working smarter, not harder. Make sure that, we're not trying to do it all on our own, right? We're not that important. It's the collaborative effort that's important, that's going to bring us the greatest results. So I do love bee energy coming through, because there's also this sense of like the Wheel of Fortune type of energy that, brings in that cycle of rewards as well. So it's just kind of that energy saying, this year, if we can focus on collaborating, if we can focus on working with others, letting our guard down, and not needing to be right, not needing to, have it be our way or the highway, I think we'll be really, really happy with the results, really, really happy with the results. And also, those results will be much more widespread and much bigger than they could be if we did it on our own. So, powerful energy. I'm right there with you, 22s. I hope it's a great one. Take care. Bye for now.